Hi, my name is Mike Messier. I'm with the Avalonia 7 Theater Festival. We're here with a gentleman from Chicago, Kelly Stone, who is the winner of our Best Dramatic One Act for his piece Good Guys. Kelly, how you doing today, buddy?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. I'm here in Jacksonville, Florida. You are in Chicago, Illinois. And I'm really happy that you're here with me on this interview series. We've been interviewing different writers for Avalonia's 7 Theater Festival. How long have you been writing in general, Kelly, and how long have you been writing plays specifically?
Yeah, so I've been writing about 10 years and plays specifically for about the last eight.
And let me ask you, what other types of formats do you write in? Do you write novels, novellas, short stories? What else are you liking to write?
I actually started off writing screenplays and realized I was much more of a dialogue guy than visual. So made the switch to plays and haven't looked back and really enjoy the staged play writing process. So.
It's funny you mentioned that because I kind of did the same thing. I was always writing screenplays on Final Draft. Do you use a screenplay format by any chance as a writer, Kelly?
I do. I use Final Draft. I've been using Final Draft for 10 years, and it's been great and works well for plays as well as screenplays. So
Yeah, I think that's one thing people don't know. Sometimes they think of Final Draft for just screenplays, but you can do novel writing, you can do text documents. I get no commission from the company. I wish I did, but it's a cool. I think it's a cool program. Some people use other programs, but and Kelly, I got to ask you, how's Chicago treating you? I know, without getting too COVID based in our conversation, how is Chicago handling this situation right now on a personal level?
our mayor was one of the more aggressive in shutting down early, reopening late. We just reopened restaurants, salons a couple weeks ago, so a lot of takeout and delivery, which we don't always have Jacksonville weather, so it was a little rough in March and April, but much better in May and June. But yeah, now restaurants can open to about 25% capacity, and still a lot of outdoor dining.
Has this time given you more time for your writing, or has it been difficult in your writing? Just curious.
You know, before COVID, I traveled a lot for work, and so I had a lot of time on planes and hotels to write, and so I would say I'm writing probably equal. I'm stuck on a lot of Zoom calls now at home, so that dampens the ability to write. But yeah, I'm still trying to stick to a schedule. I write a lot on Saturdays with a group here in Chicago. So yeah, otherwise, probably about the same as before COVID.
I want to get back to that writing group because we were talking off air, and it's a very unique setup for your writing group. That, if you don't mind sharing, I'll ask you about that in a little bit. But first, let's talk about your play, Good Guys. In short, there's three characters in a bar, and they're all guys. And why don't you tell us more about the script without giving away too much of it, but just tell us what you feel comfortable with about the story of Good Guys.
Yeah, sure. So it's a story of it starts with two guys in a bar, and they find a wad of cash, and they spend some time debating on if they should take the money or turn it in, or what process and who should get what cut of it if they decide to take the money. And does it matter who's had a more rough time in life or who's kind of going through some challenges? I played around with this, what constitutes a good guy, and the kind of the moral and legal side of that. And I thought the ultimate test would be to find a wad of cash in a bar, and what happens with that. And then the third character is kind of the consequences of their choices. So I guess that's kind of the story in a nutshell.
One thing I've noticed about going to see a lot of theater in the last couple of years, Kelly, is that even with a two-act play, there seemed to be a pattern that I was seeing with the stage plays when two-act plays, that there was like a main character in the first act that either died or disappeared at the end of the first act, and then the second act there's like some new character that comes in out of nowhere to kind of change everything. And I think what I kind of like about Good Guys, although it's a 12-page play, is that there is that character that kind of comes in, you know, 2/3 or 3/4 of the way through it, that changes everything. It's like switching gears a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. And when I was playing around with the idea of Good Guys, I thought, two guys in a bar with a wad of cash, and then, what consequences come from the decisions that they make. And I don't know, the third character just seemed like the perfect consequence for what they decided to do with the money. And so, yeah, bringing the third character in kind of midway really, I thought, propelled the story into kind of the second half. So.
And has this piece been on stage anywhere before Avalonia 7 Theater Festival?
It's been read over and over in my scene shop on Saturdays in Chicago. I've had a number of actors. The first part of the play was read, was a staged reading as part of a scene shop festival in Chicago through the group that I'm with. They highlight 10 plays twice a year, or 10 scenes, and so they highlighted the first scene, if you will, of Good Guys. So.
Kelly, if you could tell the listeners and the viewers of our interview here about the interesting setup of your Saturday 3-hour writing group. Obviously, with COVID, that's on Zoom these days. But before that, you had a really interactive way of doing this writers group that you're a part of. Can you tell us more about it? Maybe people in other cities can use this as a template for when things get back to normal, so to speak.
Yeah, sure. So it's called Chicago Dramatist Group, and it's led by, it's facilitated by a guy named Will Dunn, and Will starts with usually kind of a warm up writing exercise, if you will, and then all the writers, there's 10 of us, come prepared with a scene, and they bring in professional actors to read the scenes, and then your peers and the actors and will give us feedback, and you hopefully take the recommendations and the critique, and hopefully improve or refine your scenes accordingly. But yeah, it's every Saturday for 3 hours. I've been doing it for, I think this is my 7th year, and so a group of us, there's 10, I'd say 7 or 8 of us have been there through that duration. And yeah, it's a close knit group, and it's really valuable part of my writing process. So.
What I think I really find super interesting about this group is that it's building a connection between the writers and the actors. And I don't know if Will himself or any of the writers kind of step in as directors to direct the pieces, or if the actors are kind of doing that on their own. But I think it's pretty fascinating, a really good way to get things going with people. Sometimes writers are in a vacuum, just them and the written word, and sometimes actors are in a vacuum. Sometimes actors are looking for something to do on a Saturday afternoon, and rather than people being so isolated, I think this group is great. And maybe some other cities will take this idea and give you guys, Will and your folks there in Chicago, some credit for it, because I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it really is. And as we were talking before, when we would meet every Saturday live, and it's great to have the actors there. The pandemic has kind of pushed us into the Zoom world, but we've still, every Saturday that we meet, we take off the first Saturday of every month, but otherwise it's every Saturday, and it's been invaluable to the process, and being able to get actors' feedback on your work and hearing it read every Saturday really enables you to hone in on areas that could use some work. So.
I did want to mention that about 2 or 3 weeks ago, I had a funny situation where the G-rated version of Good Guys. I was in a restaurant with social distancing in effect, of course, and I noticed that there's a couple of guys, 6 feet or more away from me, and under one of their chairs was a $20 bill, and I just kind of yelled out to the guy, "Hey, look under your chair," and he didn't know what I was talking about. And I said, "You've got a $20 bill. You dropped a $20 bill." So the guy reaches under his chair, finds the $20 bill, and He's like, oh, that's not mine. And I'm like, oh, okay. So the guy, I'll give the guy credit. His solution was to give the $20 bill to the waiter on behalf of both him and myself, which I kind of would have liked the $10, but we did the good guy thing. We gave it to the waiter, and I'll let people use their imagination. If I gave the waiter an additional tip to the 20 that I helped facilitate. Um, but it made me think of your play, Good Guys, a bit, because you never know when you find money like that. It's like when you find the wallet and there's, you know, not that I've ever found a wallet with $5,000, but what would you do if you did? You know what I mean? Or what would you do if you found some random bag of money or coins or something? That's always a good moral question for people.
Well, and that's just it. When I was, playing around with the idea, it was, is there a certain amount of money where it changes your opinion of what you would do, or changes the direction or course of action? But yeah, the $20 bill is a great story, and it's great that you guys together came up with a solution with it, which is kind of in the same vein as Good Guys.
Yeah, I like I said, I was kind of hoping for that $10, but the other guy had a better idea, and so I went with it. I'll give credit to a friend of mine. I was in a movie theater a long time ago, and my friend Colin Steele found somebody's wallet, and I was just like, hey man, just turn it into the front of the movie theater. Well, my buddy, found the person's driver's license, and we made a special drive to whoever's house it was to hand deliver this wallet. And my buddy did not take any money. He was an honest, good guy. So, and I've had that happen with me too. I've dropped my wallet in coffee houses and things that I'm not proud of, just by mistake. So I can appreciate the sentiment behind Good Guys. Um, Kelly, as we wrap things up, I just want to ask, is there any other writing projects that you're working on or you have worked on that you want to mention and get out there to people, if they're interested in your writing or if they want to talk more about it? Let me know.
Yeah, I can only, I've been working on a lot of kind of shorter works. I just finished a 10-minute play called Dust Drawings on a Window that I'm just starting to submit into the world. And yeah, it's about a dysfunctional family and a husband and wife that are at different ends of the spectrum on what to do with an aging parent that lives with them. And one is maybe looking to eliminate that problem from their life, and the others maybe at the other end of the spectrum on a more rational way of dealing with the situation. But yeah, so that just finished that, and like I said, been trying to focus on some shorter works before I get back into a more lengthy work.
That type of piece I can relate to, and I think a lot of people can. When you start seeing loved ones, whether it's a parent or someone else, get, whether it's early onset Alzheimer's or ALS or anything like that, dementia, all those things are so gut wrenching. And I once rented an apartment from folks that had there was a man and a wife I was renting from, and his mother was getting really bad dementia, and they refused to send her to a nursing home. But I could tell that after a couple of years, it was taking a dramatic toll on everybody. You know what I mean? And especially the daughter-in-law was getting really to her nerves end, because it wasn't even her mother, but they were fighting tooth and nail to keep her out of the nursing home, but it was taking a toll on everybody. So I can relate to that type of project.
Yeah, and the idea for it came from Good Guys. It was this kind of thought of, does it matter if the parent is a horrible person? Then if you put them in a nursing home or do something more dramatic, is that acceptable? Versus if they're a good parent, or so I kind of played off of this Good Guy. Are there circumstances or justifications for how you act in those kind of tough situations with an aging parent?
And Kelly, just curiously, how did you find out about our Play Festival, the Avalonia 7 Theater Festival? Was it through Play Submissions Helper or another website?
It was through Play Submissions Helper.
Yeah, it's a great website. The promo code Mike, which is my name, Mike, gets people the first month for 99 cents. So I thought I'd mention that. And I'm glad that through that website, people like yourself, wouldn't have found out about it, because I was using Film Freeway for my entry page of Play Submissions Helper, which it's a play festival on a film entry page. So I'm glad that people like yourself took the time, because I know it was a little bit different. People are used to submittables, or they're used to other entry formats. And for my play festival, you had to make a project page, you had to submit it. There was an entry fee. So I'm really appreciative to yourself and everybody else who took the extra 10 or 15 minutes, to get that going. Did you find the submission uh, uh, process easy enough, or was there any obstacles with that for you?
No, it was very easy. And a guy in my class, or in our Chicago Dramatist group, turned our entire group on to Play Submissions Helper. He had submitted to a festival, to a contest in London, and won. And so flew out and had told us that he had been using Play Submissions Helper to bring his work out into the world. And so I think after he got back from London, we were all excited. Our entire group was excited to start to submit our work through. But yeah, easy to submit through your festival, and super honored to be a part of it. Hopefully, the pandemic will subside to a point where we can, have some live theater again.
Yeah, I mean that's something, especially in Chicago. I mean, when I think of Chicago, first I think of the sports. The Blackhawks, the Bears, the Bulls, the White Sox. Michael Jordan, obviously, but and don't want to forget Wrigley Field, Harry Carey. But then the next thing I think of is SCTV, Second City Television. I mean, you're talking about the legends that have come through Chicago. Maybe they weren't born there, but that was part of their training ground for live improv, and the Blues Brothers movie, and all types of things. And you're not originally from Chicago. You're from Denver, you were telling me. But how have you kind of adjusted to being Chicago and going on 9 or 10 years now?
Yeah, it's one of the reasons why my wife and I have enjoyed Chicago so much. We see probably 20 to 25 plays a year. A lot of different subscriptions to great theaters here in the city. I think for me that's been the worst. Other than the fear and the health concerns, and knowing that that there's people suffering. Personally, the lack of live theater has really put a damper on. It's just depressing. It's a huge part of our life, and we really enjoy being out and supporting the arts. And so yeah, really excited for live theater to come back. Our mayor just 50. I think we're up to 50 gatherings of 50 people or less. So hoping that some of the small theaters can get back online here soon.
Well, exactly what you say. Is I always mention, people that wear their mask. You know what I mean? I don't know if I have the best one, but I have this kind of filter mask, and different people are, I've got the neck gaiters and everything else. So I mean, once again, if we all do our part for this thing, it'll get through it. But it's rough, because I mean, people are eager to get their lives back. But Kelly, I just want to thank you so much for this interview. If there's anything else you want to say about writing, your own writing, or anything at all to the Avalonia 7 Theater family, please do now.
I'll just close by saying, again, very honored to have won my part in this, and super excited to, to continue to be out in the world creating art, and it's always enjoyable to watch actors, bring it to life. So hopefully that will happen in this case. But yeah, very, very excited and honored to be part of this experience.
Well, we're definitely going to thank you, Kelly, for being on the Avalonia 7 Theater Festival website today with the interviews. And I want to wish you and your family the best, and we'll be in touch soon. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thanks, Mike.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Check out our website for more interviews.